Okay, I'm going to make a 1-pound loaf of bread today. I'm going to make whole wheat bread, but you can make others. And I'm going to do it in this bread machine here. And I'm going to do it using a kitchen scale to just add ingredients in a bulk form so that I don't have to use measuring cups and spoons and all that, and also for additional accuracy in getting the ingredients right. First of all, get our mixer from the bread machine. I'm going to turn on the scale. The scale will do an auto zero here. This particular scale goes right to ounces. I'm going to change it to grams, and I'm just going to add ingredients. This is my ingredient list here. I'm going to add water first, 242 grams of water. That's 1 cup. And you don't have to nail these down right exactly to the gram. But I do try to be accurate. Okay, next up is oil. I'm going to put olive oil in. You can use butter. I like to use olive oil because it's healthy, and it also, I don't have to melt it. So I've got 14 grams of oil. Okay, right on the nose on that one. Once again, zero it out. Flour. Like I said, this is whole wheat, 100% whole wheat loaf here, which I prefer. And 287 grams. This is like 3 1/3 cups, something like that. And you don't have to get out those cups and do all that measuring. You know, use 2 or 3 different cups. Okay, there we are, 286. Once again, zeroing it out. Now sugar, and this is like a 1/4 cup, which equates out to 42 grams. Let's get some brown sugar here. Closing in on it. Okay, we're just a tad over on that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Next up is the salt. It's like a teaspoon here, 7 grams. That's good. And finally the yeast. Zero it out again. Yeast is just 5 grams. Even though this is whole wheat, it does make a nice loaf rise is nice and is fairly light. Okay, with all the ingredients in there, and that took a matter of a couple of minutes. Throw this into the bread machine. This one I've used a number of bread machines. I happen to be using a Gold Star right here, and really good results with this one. They can vary quite a bit. And so I go to the dough cycle and hit start. No, I'm sorry. I go to the whole wheat cycle. I'm thinking about some rolls I made the other day. Whole wheat cycle and hit start. That's a 4-hour cycle. It sits for 30 minutes on whole wheat to start with, and then starts going. The other thing I want to mention, one thing you do want to check is once it starts going into the mixing cycle, you want to check and make sure it's not sticking to the bread pan, and if it is, add some more flour, because flour, the ratio there is fairly important, and can vary with humidity and temperature and so forth, geographic location, altitude, all those things, so you want to check that. We'll come back and check that in a few minutes, in a half hour. I want to mention one thing. Now, this bread maker, the cycle for whole wheat bread is 4 hours, but there's a half-hour rest before the machine will start to knead the bread. And it's important to monitor this once it starts kneading and make sure it's not sticking to the pan, because if it is, you have to add flour. The amount of flour is pretty critical and is dependent a great deal on humidity, even elevation. So you want to add a little bit of flour if necessary, if it is sticking. Okay, so it started mixing. This is where you want to watch it. Notice how it's sticking. We need to add some flour. And as you do this a few times, you can adjust the recipe to start with. You know, maybe add 20 grams of flour to it so that you don't wind up with it sticking. This is what you want now. You don't want the dough ball slapping around in there. You don't want any extra dough getting stuck to the pan. When you have the consistency right, you won't stick it all, just move around in there. So we're going to leave it alone now and let it do its thing. Okay, it's 4 hours later. Our loaf of whole wheat bread is done. So it's about 5 inches high, 4 inches square, which is respectable for whole wheat. It sometimes can come out heavy. So here's here's the loaf as it comes out of the machine, and makes a real nice loaf. I'm going to enjoy some with some plum jam. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I like the speed at which I can put it together. Just a couple minutes of adding the ingredients, bread machine doing the work, and getting excellent results, and with simple, healthful ingredients. So thanks again for watching the video.